In the wide array of DC Comics villains, a lot of them are basically unstoppable forces of the universe. Poison Ivy, also known as Pamela Isley, wields a formidable and unique level of power that sets her apart as one of Batman's most powerful villains. Gifted with a deep connection to plant life, Ivy's powers encompass both botanical manipulation and a heightened affinity for nature. She can communicate with plants, control their growth, and command them to bend to her will, utilizing them as powerful weapons or protective barriers, and she can do this on a global scale. Her toxic touch, stemming from her ability to secrete potent pheromones, makes her a dangerous foe in close combat, assuming combatants can even get that close. Her expertise in biochemistry allows her to concoct various deadly toxins and antidotes, making her a master of botanical chemistry, and she can pretty much heal herself at will. What truly makes Poison Ivy fearsome is her ability to bend the very ecosystems to her command, unleashing nature's wrath upon her enemies. Now this isn't as impressive as her other feats of power, but she is also quite good at seducing her enemies, bending them to her will, which she has even done to the Man of Steel. Usually this is done with toxins, but sometimes just through straight up charm. With her compelling blend of power, allure, and eco-conscious motivations, Poison Ivy has been an incredibly popular villain who few can really stand against. Number 9. Larfleeze. Larfleeze, or Agent Orange, is one unique character in the emotional spectrum, and that's because he's the sole wielder of the Orange Light of Avarice. He is the only member of the Orange Lantern Corps. Larfleeze is driven by an insatiable greed that grants him dominion over all that he desires, driving him into conflict with whoever possesses what it is that he does desire, and over the power of the Orange Lanterns, which represent greed. His power is centered on his ability to conjure constructs using the stolen identities and forms of those he has absorbed into his horde, making him basically an army unto himself. This ability extends even to abstract concepts and beings, showcasing the extent of his control. The big thing about Larfleeze is that since he spent so much time with his Orange Lantern and ring, he has basically become the living Orange Lantern himself. This energy grants him huge levels of power. His constructs are virtually indestructible and can overwhelm even the most powerful opponents. However, Larfleeze's power comes at the cost of his individuality, as his insatiable greed makes him less of a person and more of a living embodiment of greed itself. Even without the power of the Orange Lantern, his race is already basically immortal, with Larfleeze himself being billions of years old, and with enough power that I seriously doubt he will be going down anytime soon. Number 8. Time Trapper. The Time Trapper is often associated with the Legion of Superheroes, and he operates as a master manipulator of time. If you know comics and time travel, then you know that this gives the Time Trapper control over the fabric of reality itself. Possessing the power to alter and manipulate the past, present, and future, the Trapper can rewrite history on an unprecedented scale. He was able to age anyone he chose to the point of bones or ashes if he wanted to. He was capable of creating an iron curtain of time, which was a barrier which prevented time travel. The Time Trapper was also able to create a temporal force barrier which he used to seal a time-traveling Superman off from the 20th century. He was able to take a slice of time from the post-crisis DCU 1 million years in the past and craft its Earth and Krypton into reality similar to the recently destroyed Earth 1 universe, forming a pocket universe. He made a pocket universe. That's nuts. These are godly feats of time manipulation and control. Often depicted as a shadowy, hooded figure, the character's level of power is so vast that even immensely powerful cosmic entities such as the Timeless Ones tread cautiously in his presence. On top of that though, he possesses power with size alteration, intangibility, flight, telepathy, telekinesis, alongside symbolizing the very essence of temporal manipulation and unpredictability in the DC universe. Number 7. General Zod. Hailing from the planet Krypton, General Zod possesses the same superhuman abilities as Superman due to their shared origin. These abilities include super strength, speed, invulnerability, heat vision, and flight, making him a physical match for the Man of Steel. What sets Zod apart though is that he was originally the leader of the military defense for the Kryptonian Science Council. He betrayed the Science Council after learning that they were lying to him about the inevitable destruction of the planet Krypton, and was banished to the Phantom Zone by Superman's father, Jor-El, who he swore vengeance against for not siding with him. His formidable combat experience and tactical genius, acquired acquired during his time as a military leader on Krypton make him a fearsome adversary in battle. Zod's obsession with Kryptonian superiority and his unrelenting desire to establish dominance often drive him to harness his power to their fullest extent, doing things that would make Superman faint. Throughout his appearances in DC Comics, General Zod's determination, belief in his cause, and great power, coupled with the fact that he pretty much always comes back somehow, make him pretty hard to put down for good, unless you're Henry Cavill. Number 6. Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage was alive 50,000 years ago as a chief of a tribe of other cavemen, but when he came into contact with a strange meteorite, it exploded and bathed him in this strange alien radiation that gave him immunity to aging, disease, and fatigue, meaning he is effectively immortal. The meteorite also increased his intelligence to superhuman levels, which combined with 50,000 years of learning, experiencing, and living alongside every single technological innovation in the history of man, Vandal Savage possesses skills in almost all areas of the human experience, even basically becoming immune to pain. Specifically though, he focuses on the tactical skills that would help him become a world conqueror. His schemes range from being a conqueror to a criminal mastermind, leveraging his intellect and immortality to reshape civilizations and wield substantial influence. His power is further magnified by his ability to learn and adapt from each encounter, making him an almost insurmountable adversary for even the most powerful heroes. With his immortality, intelligence, and complex motivations, Vandal Savage is one villain that seems to just keep on popping up. Number 5. Parallax. This cosmic entity is a cosmic entity, so it kinda defeats what I just said in the intro, but he's the living embodiment of fear and has created several problems for different heroes over the years, and still he's somehow kind of small and relegated to like this corner of DC. Originally imprisoned by the Guardians of the Universe in their central power battery, his presence would eventually lead to the corruption of a couple of the Green Lantern Corps' power rings, creating the Yellow Lanterns. Parallax is immortal and exists as pure energy, unable to be destroyed and more than capable of manipulating matter and energy on a cosmic scale. He's able to generate such intense fear in a person that he can actually control them, having done this to several heroes without much effort over the years, the likes of which include Superman and even Wonder Woman. His biggest feat would have to be the corruption of Hal Jordan though, causing the guy to do some pretty unspeakable things like wiping out the entire Green Lantern Corps. Funnily enough, that wasn't the original reason, but DC just retconned it to that so Hal could seem a little bit more redeemable after he just did that. Well, there you go. Number 4. Reverse Flash. Eobard Thawne is what happens when you take the Flash and make him utterly insane. Possessing a deep obsession with the Flash, Thawne's connection to the negative Speed Force grants him superhuman speed and reflexes that meet those of the Scarlet Speedster himself, and sometimes go a little bit past that. This negative Speed Force grants him a kind of power over time manipulation and enabling him to travel through time at will. This mastery of temporal mechanics allows him to alter history, create alternate timelines, and manipulate events to his advantage. His ability to affect the past and future makes him a uniquely terrifying opponent, as he can unravel the very fabric of reality itself. Then, as a villain of Flash, Eobard's intimate knowledge of the Flash's life and history enables him to anticipate his every single move, making it extremely challenging for the Flash to outsmart him, and Eobard has revealed that he has manipulated Barry's life to be the way that it is, which is kind of just a huge old time loop that probably unravels if you try to think about it too much, but just don't do that, so there you go. This combination of incredible speed, time manipulation, and strategic intellect makes Reverse Flash an arch nemesis who constantly pushes the Flash to his limits, solidifying his reputation as truly powerful, incredibly unpredictable, and very hard to stop. Number 3. Starro. If you have seen the newest Suicide Squad movie, the one with Idris Elba and John Cena, then you know who Starro is. He's that massive, terrifying starfish alien conqueror that was releasing millions of tiny starfish that turn people into unwilling servants. Starro is actually one of the Justice League's earliest villains, and he poses a massive threat as he can use his reproduced drones to take control of an entire population, and he has subdued members of the Justice League multiple times, just like how it was done in that film. Originally, he could even turn actual starfish into deputies of his, making multiple Starros. Other than the mind control, drones, copies, its immense resilience, and energy absorption, Starro is also incredibly capable with regenerating, being able to grow back fully from just a fragment of his own body. There are some versions of Starro who are the size of an ocean, and they are totally capable of terraforming entire planets. Yes, he's basically a starfish, but imagining an absolutely absolutely massive, ocean-sized starfish attacking our planet with drones that can turn people into unwilling servants with almost no way to stop it? That's pretty terrifying. Number 2. Eclipso. When Eclipso made his comic book debut in 1963, he was nothing more than the evil side of archaeologist Bruce Gordon that came out during the eclipse. Pretty simple. But then we fast forward to DC's 1992 Eclipso: The Darkness Within, and out of kind of nowhere, Eclipso is revealed to be a powerful cosmic entity representing the wrath of God that turned evil and was cast from heaven, replaced by the Spectre. Now, he is an entity who is trapped in a gigantic black diamond that was cut into smaller diamonds, one of which was found by Bruce Wayne years and years ago. In an event called Darkness Within, these fragments of the black diamond were activated on various powerful beings, allowing Eclipso to possess them, and one of these beings happened to be Superman himself, and the world's heroes had to fight tooth and nail to try and stop this powerful possessed Superman. It was the wizard Shazam and Billy Batson Captain Marvel who finally stopped him, and with the help of the Spectre, Eclipso was forced back into the reformed diamond, but he's not gone. He's still around. He's just chilling in the diamond somewhere. Number 1. Solaris. Introduced in the storyline DC 1 Million, Solaris stands as a sentient, malevolent, artificial sun from the 20th century, but he survived till and had a bigger part to play in the distant 853rd century. That's a lot of centuries. What sets Solaris apart from other villains is its status as a living star, a conscious being born from the fusion of advanced technology and the essence of a dying sun. Possessing vast cosmic power, Solaris is a relentless foe who manipulates radiation, gravity, and he's a sun. He's hella powerful, manipulating immense energy to reshape its surroundings and project formidable attacks. Its motivation lies in a deep-seated desire to spread its influence and attain ultimate dominance in the universe, but also in the fact that he was defeated by the second Superman and has vowed vengeance against all Supermen who pop up after that. Solaris possesses a unique threat that transcends traditional physical battles, becoming the concept of a living sun with malevolent intent as an enthralling layer of cosmic mystery and existential danger, and I don't want to think about that.
Number 10. Anti-Monitor. Anti-Monitor is a supremely powerful villain who threatened the very existence of the multiverse during the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. He controls the antimatter universe, and his very existence is deeply tied to the destruction of all things. So much so that even after the Anti-Monitor was defeated, Nekron ended up trapping the Anti-Monitor's body. It was later revealed in Blackest Night that Nekron had basically been using Anti-Monitor's corpse as a source of power for the Black Central Power Battery. So yeah, even in death he's scary. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, please be sure to show us that you love us by clicking that like button and coming back. Come on back. Number 9. Rothad of Lemuria. Rothad of Lemuria is a prominent figure in the stories from the Hyborian Age. Rothad made his debut in Conan the Barbarian issue number 37, which was published in the 70s during the peak, I would say, of the sword and sorcery genre. The king of Lemuria was scared of Rothad's power, understandably so, as many magic users back in those days of these comics tended to be pretty evil, which Rothad also was. So he hired Kull to defeat and kill him. However, as he was dying, Rothad cursed both the king and Kull and cast a spell so that he could return. He didn't just return too, he came back with a gold body. Number 8. Grail. Grail was born on the same day as Wonder Woman, who is believed to be a few millennia old based on Amazon history, and considering when the Amazons left man's world and how long after that Diana was brought into their world as Hippolyta's daughter. Though that still means that she's likely considerably younger than her father, who is also super old. Grail, the daughter of Amazon assassin Myrna and Darkseid, is the offspring of one of the most feared villains of the DC universe. That's right, we're talking about Darkseid. Darkseid is known for being a powerful adversary to all major superheroes, I'd say, but especially the Justice League. He's a master strategist, he's incredibly strong and durable, and additionally he of course has his Omega beams that he can use to destroy his enemies, or I guess displace them through time. Number 7. Skrulls. The Skrulls have been a part of the comic book universe for a long time, and while some of them have become heroes in recent years, they were initially introduced as villains. In the second issue of Fantastic Four, they were portrayed as an alien race with designs for world domination, hoping to conquer Earth by infiltrating it and basically posing as the Fantastic Four, committing evil deeds. Their goal was to discredit the Fantastic Four and have the FF's own national government and military capture and eliminate them. See, because then Earth would have no protectors and they'd be able to take it for themselves. Look, this was early days of comics, so everyone else wasn't really like as prominent yet. However, the FF managed to capture the Skrull impersonators and posed as them instead, causing the Skrull leader to call off the invasion. They did a little switcheroo there. They were like, we see your plan and we will do it, but we will do it better. In the end, the Skrulls who posed as the FF were left behind and took the form of cows, living in apparent peace on the planet's surface, but isolated from their homeworld and of course their people. Although they didn't seem to mind. I think they were pretty happy as cows. As we saw alluded to in the MCU's Secret Invasion, Skrulls can actually live for hundreds of years, and in the comics their empire has existed for tens of millions of years. Despite them losing that battle though, the Skrulls would not give up on Earth and years later would almost claim it for themselves during the comic book Secret Invasion event, where they were led by the Skrull Queen, Varanki. Number 6. Darkseid. Darkseid is a powerful and formidable villain in the DC Comics universe, ruling over Apocalypse with an army of loyal soldiers known as the Parademons. Despite facing challenges and battles against numerous heroes and villains, Darkseid has managed to defeat many of them, including seemingly defeating the entirety of the Justice League on multiple occasions. What sets Darkseid apart from other villains is his sense of inevitability and unstoppable power. This is illustrated by the catchphrase "Darkseid is," which has become iconic in comic book history and was coined by Grant Morrison. The phrase "Darkseid is" basically means that Darkseid is inevitable and all-powerful. You don't have to finish the sentence because he just is. He is an evil constant who must and will always exist, a terrifying thought when you've experienced firsthand his brutal power and iron will. Darkseid's immense strength and ruthless army make him a terrifying and honestly unforgettable villain. Number 5. Raquel. Sure, Raquel might be in prison currently, or at least that's where she was put at the end of the Empire event last I checked, but that doesn't mean she is down and out for the count. Au contraire. Instead, it simply means that she's likely biding her time and she's eventually once more going to attempt to do something to manipulate her grandson further into unifying and dominating other worlds, as she orchestrated the fusion of the Kree and Skrull together with the Kree-Skrull alliance. And if I've missed anything here and she's doing something else or she was eliminated, trust me, I do not think she's eliminated. For years we thought she had perished along with the rest of her people when her world was destroyed by Galactus, and for years we were apparently wrong in this. What's to stop her from surprising us yet again, you know what I mean? Number 4. Mandrak the Dark Monitor. Mandrak was once, or is, depending on what you believe, Dax Novu. And Dax Novu was once a part of the Monitor. Following the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, the injuries the Monitor had suffered caused it to basically splinter apart somewhat, dividing its body and creating other smaller monitors. Dax Novu was one of these monitors. He eventually realized that the monitors were parasitic beings who were feeding on the energies of the multiverse, slowly consuming and destroying it. He informed the other monitors but was basically shunned for attempting to share his realization, and this is pretty much what turned him, well, dark. Dax then became corrupted, turning into a dark monitor known as Mandrak. Number 3. Thulsa Doom. Conan, the famous barbarian created by Robert E. Howard, has faced many powerful enemies on his adventures. However, he often finds himself in epic battles against evil sorcerers and wizards, as so many barbarians from that age of comics do. One of his most well-known foes, Thulsa Doom, is a necromancer who uses dark magic to achieve his wicked goals. Thulsa Doom made his first comic book appearance way back in Monsters on the Prowl issue number 16 in terms of the comics. Interestingly, Thulsa Doom was originally created as a villain for Robert E. Howard's other barbarian hero, Kull of Atlantis, who was considered by some to be a more complex and well-rounded character than Conan was. However, Thulsa Doom's appearance as the main antagonist in the 1982 film Conan the Barbarian solidified his place in popular culture as one of Conan's greatest enemies, and so that's how we see him today. Number 2. Apocalypse. There is a whole reality based on the question of what would happen if Apocalypse was basically unable to be stopped. This reality is known as Earth 295, aka the Age of Apocalypse, or AOA if you will. And in this world, Apocalypse becomes pretty much inevitable thanks to the early demise of one man, Charles Xavier, Professor X. The reality of Age of Apocalypse just goes to show you what a force Apocalypse is, and if an alternate reality where Apocalypse literally rules the world is somehow not enough to convince you of how unstoppable this villain can be, you can also turn to the more recent X-Men event Ten of Swords, which happened a few years ago, aka the Otherworld Tournament. During this fight, Apocalypse faced his wife, who was possessed by Annihilation, and even against the seemingly unbeatable foe that was Annihilation, who can pretty much never lose, Apocalypse managed to win, saving his wife and freeing her from the influence of the Golden Helm, while also saving basically all of Krakoa, Mutant Kind, and Otherworld. Yeah, so this wasn't his most villainous moment. But normally Apocalypse is a villain, and this just serves as another example to show you how he basically can't be stopped. Number 1. Great Darkness. The Great Darkness is in essence one of the oldest evils in the DC multiverse. In the beginning, it was said there was only darkness. However, a small light was also created and eventually it grew. When the creator said, "Let there be light," the darkness was forced to shy away and retreat, but its screams of protest left a mark on the light, a flaw, which is believed to basically have become the DC multiverse. At one point, a cult attempted to reawaken the Great Darkness and use it as a weapon to destroy God and reshape all of existence. This created a divide, with various beings allying themselves with the Great Darkness, fighting on the side of hell, while others worked to oppose the entity, allying themselves with the side of heaven, the side of light, if you will. The Great Darkness has long been tied to the stories of heroes like Swamp Thing and John Constantine, making its first appearance in the Swamp Thing series from 1982.
At number 10 is Ultron. Ultron, the AI antagonist from the Avengers, delves into the intriguing realm of human-robot interaction. Created by Tony Stark in the MCU, but was actually the mindchild of Hank Pym in the original comics, its prime directive is achieving world peace, and surmises that the only way that would be possible is to eliminate humanity. Ultron's self-improving nature grants it exponential growth in power and intellect. This villain proves relentless thanks to its ability to adapt, infiltrate networks, and upgrade itself like a superhero Skynet. Its adamantium exoskeleton renders it nearly indestructible, and it can transfer its consciousness across different row-bodies. Row-bodies? I thought that was clever. Ultron embodies the fear of technology gone awry, posing a formidable challenge to Earth's mightiest heroes. Can they triumph over an enemy that evolves faster than they can strategize? If you're enjoying the video so far, you can support this channel by pressing like, subscribing to the channel, and ringing that notification bell. At number 9 is Baron Zemo. Baron Zemo is a cold and calculated strategist in the Marvel Universe. First appearing in the comics back in '64, this mastermind completely lacked superhuman abilities, relying instead on heightened intellect and resourcefulness. Zemo single-handedly orchestrated the Avengers' downfall from the shadows by exploiting their weaknesses and triggering internal conflicts. His Machiavellian approach showcases that physical power isn't the sole path to supremacy. With a tragic backstory and penchant for manipulation, Zemo remains an enduring antagonist. Whether it's through psychological warfare or intricate schemes, he serves as a reminder that sometimes the most formidable adversaries come not from superhuman might, but instead from within the human psyche. At number 8 is Kang the Conqueror. Hailing from the pages of Marvel Comics, Kang is a time-traveling, history-manipulating enigma. His real name is, well, that's a bit tricky. You see, he has a whole bunch of identities due to his time-traveling shenanigans across different eras. Or, I mean, dimension hopping, depending on how you want to look at it. In the MCU, Marvel is treating alternate timelines and alternate dimensions like they're the same thing, so we'll just have to deal with it. But I digress. Off the top of my head, he goes by either Nathaniel Richards, Rama Tut, Scarlet Centurion, Immortus, Kid Immortus, Iron Lad, Mr. Griffin, a Doctor Doom, and of course, Kang the Conqueror, thus making him probably one of the most convoluted characters in comic book history, as there are innumerable iterations of the character spanning countless eons. For example, there are versions of Nathaniel who become Rama Tut before becoming Kang, others who after becoming Kang become Rama Tut again, only to then become either Immortus or Scarlet Centurion, and or back to Kang. Some flip between Rama Tut and Kang before becoming Mr. Griffin, while other Kangs don't become Kang at all and instead become Iron Lad. Yeah, it's really messy. And as you can already guess, what makes Kang truly interesting is his mastery over time, hopping around like a temporal tourist gone mad. With advanced future tech and extreme intellect, partly on account that he's a descendant of Mr. Fantastic, he's a challenge that is as much a puzzle as he is a powerhouse. His various incarnations, alternate selves, and mind-bending plots make him a true headache for our beloved Avengers. Wrapping your head around Kang's complexities might require a time machine of your own. At number 7 is Thanos. When we talk about Avengers villains who are a tough nut to crack, Thanos inevitably leaps into the picture. I mean, we're not just dealing with your everyday antagonist here, we're talking about the Mad Titan himself. Thanos is like the ultimate cosmic conundrum, most notably wielding the Infinity Gauntlet and its mind-bending gems. With that kind of power, he can reshape reality, control time, and alter the very fabric of existence. The Avengers had their hands filled dealing with this purple-skinned powerhouse. Remember that snap? The one that wiped out, like, I don't know, half of all life in the universe? Yeah, that was this guy. So taking on Thanos is like confronting the embodiment of unstoppable force. When he's on the scene, you can bet that things are gonna get cosmically complicated. At number 6 is Doctor Doom. Peering into the vast realm of the Avengers villains, one figure emerges with an aura of unyielding power, Dr. Doom. Hailing from the enigmatic land of Latveria, Dr. Doom is a multifaceted antagonist whose mastery in both science and sorcery is unparalleled. Clad in signature metal armor, Doom's intellect fuels his pursuits of dominion, rendering him a formidable adversary. His indomitable will, fortified by tragic origins, propels him in his quest for ultimate control. From reshaping reality to the Infinity Gauntlet to manipulating time itself, Doom's ambitions knows no bounds. A complex amalgamation of genius, magic, and ambition, Dr. Doom stands as the enduring testament to the unexplored depths of villainy within the Avengers universe. At number 5 is Galactus. Galactus is a colossal cosmic entity in the Marvel universe, emerging as the embodiment of cosmic balance. This being, beyond the constraints of good or evil as we perceive them, stands as a force of nature, a devourer of worlds. Dressed in his signature colossal purple and blue armor, he's a figure that transcends conventional hero-villain narratives. Galactus doesn't scheme like Loki or seek power like Thanos, he merely exists to sustain his own existence by consuming planets. With an insatiable hunger, he wields the power cosmic, allowing control over reality itself. The Avengers, despite their tenacity, often find themselves helpless against this force. They face cosmic threats, but Galactus remains unparalleled. His very existence challenges our anthropocentric perspective, underscoring the universe's grandiosity and our limited understanding within it. At number 4 is Molecule Man. Owen Reese, a character who truly bends your mind quite literally. Imagine having the power to control, well, molecules. Everything around us, matter itself, is made up of these tiny things, and Molecule Man's ability allows him to reshape reality on a fundamental level. He can disintegrate, reshape, or recreate matter with just a thought. But here's the kicker, his power isn't just limited to objects. He can alter time itself, space, I didn't know those were made of molecules, and even other superpowers. Now you might be thinking, how on earth could anyone stop someone who could manipulate reality at its core? Well, it's a mind-boggling concept, and definitely one that the Avengers are gonna have to figure out a way around. At number 3 is Red Skull. This formidable antagonist possesses an indomitable will that echoes throughout history. Initially locking horns with Captain America during the Second War of the World, Red Skull's obsession with power and ominous association with Hydra paint a portrait of unwavering malevolence. But what makes Red Skull truly intriguing is his resilience. Over the years, he's demonstrated an uncanny ability to rebound from apparent defeat, like a persistent specter haunting the Marvel Universe. His consciousness survived, transcending mortality, finding new vessels to embody his wickedness. From Johann Schmidt to various successors, the essence of Red Skull endures, emphasizing the notion that some adversaries are simply impervious to the confines of time and defeat. At number 2 is Magneto. With the ability to manipulate electromagnetic fields, his power transcends the conventional. But it's not just his raw might that sets him apart, it's his motivation. Crafted through tragic experiences, Magneto's actions are propelled by a deep-seated desire to protect mutant kind from the looming shadow of human oppression. His conviction blurs the line between villainy and an almost understandable quest for survival. So can Magneto truly be stopped? It's a paradoxical question, for while his actions are perceived as antagonistic, they stem from a place of harrowing resonance. Perhaps understanding his origin is the key to predicting his next move, and in a realm where right and wrong often collide, Magneto's indomitable spirit continues to both confound and compel. And at number 1 is Morgan Le Fay. Hailing from Arthurian legends and weaving her way into Marvel Comics, she's a force to be reckoned with. What sets her apart? It's not just her mastery over ancient magic, but her time-traveling escapades that truly bend the mind. Imagine a villain who's been a thorn in the Avengers' side across centuries. With a knack for manipulating reality, controlling minds, and wielding dark spells, Morgan Le Fay is a puzzle the team can't quite solve. But what's truly baffling is her immortality. How does one truly stop someone who's danced through time, cheating its very flow? And as the Avengers continue to battle this enigmatic enchantress, it's a reminder that some foes are beyond the grasp of conventional heroics, slipping through time's fingers like sand. At number 10 is Thanos. In the realm of Marvel villains, Thanos stands as the epitome of ruthless power. Unlike many intergalactic adversaries, what sets Thanos apart isn't just his immense strength, but the brutal lengths he'll go to accomplish his goals. Comparisons to Darkseid or Galactus don't even encapsulate this unique malevolence. Thanos isn't merely a conqueror. He's a sadistic force, destroying entire civilizations without flinching. His atrocities range from wiping out innocent lives across galaxies to unleashing nuclear devastation on his own homeworld Titan. His cruelty extends even to his own family, eliminating his parents, inflicting excruciating torment on Gamora and Nebula, his children, and callously unaliving countless other offspring. The Mad Titan's unyielding, merciless nature is what cements his position among the most brutal Marvel villains. The sheer magnitude of suffering he inflicts goes beyond mere conquest. It embodies a dark, unrelenting tyranny that renders him a force to be feared and impossible to stop. At number 9 is Carnage. In the realm of Marvel villains, some are driven by attention, necessity, or the sheer enjoyment of taking lives. Enter Cletus Cassidy, the genesis of the maniacal Carnage. The union of these two characters were born in prison, alarmingly showing the signs of cruelty. See, Cletus had pushed his grandmother down a staircase, attempting to electrocute his mother, and horrifically unalived his mother's dog, and that was just the beginning. Upon bonding with the symbiote in prison, turning into Carnage, Cassidy's malevolence, he became a frightful adversary for Spider-Man. Carnage embodies the true essence of a remorseful-less villain, capable of unthinkable acts without a second thought. His disregard for life towards literally anyone who crosses his path makes him an unnerving threat. This character's unbridled brutality and unpredictability sets him apart, making him a nightmare not just for Spidey, but anyone unfortunate to face him. If you're enjoying this video so far, you could support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing that notification bell. I would really appreciate it if you did. At number 8 is Kang the Conqueror, a formidable force in Marvel's villainous realm. He embodies the essence of unyielding power and strategic brilliance. This figure, hailing from a distant future, stands as a testament to relentless domination. His insatiable thirst for conquest and war has shaped his identity. Clad in battle-ready armor, Kang doesn't merely orchestrate conflicts, he actively engages in the fray, demonstrating his prowess as a skilled combatant. He targets the Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes, not merely for conquest, but to prove his superiority. His elaborate schemes serve as a testament to his cunning intellect, yet at his core, Kang relishes combat. He's not merely about outsmarting his adversaries, he craves the raw thrill of testing his strength against the best. Kang's relentless pursuit of victory and the unyielding desire to assert his dominance make him an uncontainable force, a figure whose brutal prowess remains an unrelenting threat to all who oppose him. At number 7 is Green Goblin. Brutal Marvel villains like the Green Goblin stand out for their relentless schemes and emotional impact on superheroes, and Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin showcased an unmatched level of villainy by orchestrating Gwen Stacy's tragic demise, creating an event that scarred Spider-Man emotionally. This act solidified the Green Goblin as Spider-Man's most formidable adversary, inflicting profound psychological torment on the Wallcrawler. His manipulation from the Clone Saga to causing Peter Parker to be the unwitting catalyst in Gwen Stacy's fall emphasizes the depth of the Green Goblin's cruelty. Notably, even when compared to other antagonists like Dr. Octopus, it's the emotional toll that the Green Goblin inflicts that makes him stand out. The intricacies of the emotional trauma inflicted upon Peter Parker by the Green Goblin's actions illustrate the unparalleled impact of this brutal Marvel villain. At number 6 is the Evil Hulk from Age of X. In Age of X, the X-Men had found themselves entrenched in a never-ending battle against their extinction, defending their last mutant stronghold against the mutant-hating Avengers. This era reshaped the Avengers into a government-backed mutant hunting unit where Dr. Bruce Banner, involved in mutant experiments, inadvertently underwent a horrific transformation. The Hulk's tragic metamorphosis, triggered during a mutant sterilization experiment gone awry, resulted in a devastating loss of control. His uncontrollable rage led to the brutal demise of his colleagues and even his fiancée, fueling an intense animosity towards mutants for some reason. Unbeknownst to many, his role in the Avengers was a last-ditch strategy if they failed, a plan that led to his demise when he attempted to unleash a chemical on Fortress X. This Hulk stands as a chilling reminder of the brutal force that, even in the face of adversity, cannot be easily subdued. At number 5 is Bullseye. Bullseye is a menacing figure in the Marvel Universe, embodying the epitome of relentless brutality. A mercenary with a chilling penchant for evil, his proficiency in wielding various projectiles elevates him to a league of his own. His lethal accuracy with any thrown weapon renders him a formidable adversary, not just a master of hand-to-hand combat, combat, Bullseye boasts combat skills that would rival even the most elite fighters in the Marvel Universe. Now, what sets Bullseye apart is his unwavering passion for combat, relishing in every moment as if it were his raison d'etre. His very essence thrives in the chaos of battle, a disturbingly eerie smile etched on his face throughout. Not even driven by profit, but the sheer enjoyment of his grisly craft, Bullseye's commitment to his malevolent inclinations is unwavering. His existence aligns with the philosophy that doing what one loves negates the notion of working, even if it involves the unthinkable, perhaps even eliminating people for free. At number 4 is the Void. The Void is the alter ego of Sentry, which stands as one of the most relentless villains in the Marvel Universe. As an embodiment of darkness and brutality, it mirrors Sentry's own inner turmoil. This duality makes the Void an adversary unlike any other. The idea of the Void was implanted in Sentry's mind, creating a cycle where defeating the Void becomes an endless battle. The Void's return is inevitable because it's rooted in Sentry's psyche, an integral part of his being. And despite temporary victories, the return of this villain symbolizes the enduring challenge of conquering one's inner demons. The ongoing struggle between Sentry and the Void is an age-old battle between light and darkness within oneself. At number 3 is Magneto. His actions throughout various storylines showcase his unwavering commitment to his cause, often through brutal and unforgiving methods. The iconic Fatal Attraction storyline demonstrated his sheer power as he forcibly removed the adamantium from Wolverine's skeleton, an act that showcased his capacity for extreme brutality. And throughout his history, Magneto's vengeful nature has led to devastating consequences. From attacking San Francisco with mutant unaliving sentinels to sinking Soviet submarines in response to governmental insolence, his actions highlight the extremities to which he's willing to go for his beliefs. The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, an embodiment of his antagonistic approach, contradicts the very idea of peaceful coexistence Xavier aims for within the X-Men. And in instances like the House of M, his rash actions led to the tragic loss of countless lives, such as against his own son Pedro. One of the most chilling instances demonstrating his mercilessness was when he gruesomely used just a paperclip to inflict fatal injuries on a scientist who resisted his interrogation. At number 2 is Sabretooth. In the world of Marvel, Sabretooth stands as a relentless nemesis, to say the least. Vicious history with the X-Men is a testament to his brutal nature. Notably, his vendetta against Wolverine is particularly savage. Sabretooth's actions extend beyond direct assaults on Logan, often targeting those closest to him, inflicting intense emotional and physical pain. A chilling example is Sabretooth's twisted tradition of attacking Wolverine on his birthday, rooted in a tragic event where he unalived Logan's partner, Silver Fox. The psychological torment doesn't stop there either. He orchestrated events that led to Wolverine tragically having to end his own son's life. Manipulation and cruelty define Sabretooth's character, making him an adversary not just in physical prowess, but also in psychological warfare. There is literally no act too morally scummy for Sabretooth. And at number 1 is Venom, a character both feared and adored. He's evolved from a ruthless supervillain to an anti-hero in the Marvel Universe. First appearing in The Amazing Spider-Man number 299, Venom's introduction was nothing short of menacing. Not only did he terrify Mary Jane, leaving her traumatized, but he also engaged in a lethal encounter in Our Lady of Saints Church, breaking the sanctity of the place by eliminating a police officer. These horrific acts just set the tone for Venom's malevolence. The character's brutality continued with the likes of Black Cat, whom he physically and emotionally harmed, and not to mention his actual brain eating, a horrific event that was seen in Venom: The Hunger number 1. Venom's dark history extended to Anne Wang, whose association with the symbiote ended tragically, and Lee Price, a host who willingly used the symbiote for brutal homicidal acts. The character exhibited a level of violence and evil surpassing that of many other villains, culminating in his involvement in planetary mass unaliving. The Venom's progression from villain to anti-hero is marked by a series of abhorrent deeds, showcasing a complex character torn between dark impulses and occasional acts of redemption.
Number 10, Joker. The Joker is infamous for his lethal nature and chaotic behavior. He uses his expertise in chemical engineering to create deadly weapons such as razor-tipped playing cards, acid-spraying lapel flowers, and deadly joy buzzers. His disregard for human life and unpredictable nature make him a formidable foe for any hero. He has caused multiple tragedies in Gotham City, leading to the death and injury of many different people. The Joker's complete lack of empathy and morals, coupled with his willingness to go to extreme lengths to achieve his goals, make him an exceptionally deadly character in the world of comics and an exceptional foe for not just Batman, but the Justice League as well. During the modern era, Joker has joined up with the Injustice League in an effort to defeat the whole premier superhero roster, and also targeted the whole team all by himself following the events of Endgame, manipulating them into mistrusting Batman and using them as weapons when he turned them against the Dark Knight. And for reference, if you're wondering when I say Endgame if I'm talking about the right publisher, I am. DC also had an Endgame event too. I know it's confusing. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, be sure to show us that you love us by clicking that like button, especially if you like when we talk about villains. I know I love to talk about villains. I hope you love it too. Number 9. Maxwell Lord. Maxwell Lord's power set has changed over time, but the fact remains that when it comes to taking control or influencing others in the DC universe, he's one of the best. He has taken control of the minds of some of the most powerful heroes in DC, such as Superman and Martian Manhunter. And because his powers have fluctuated over his history as a character, so have his power levels, with him at one point being able to extend his telepathic reach to manipulate the minds of billions at a time on Earth. Number 8. Amazo. In 1960, Amazo debuted as a powerful villain in The Brave and the Bold, issue number 30, to challenge the Justice League of America, created by Gardner Fox and Mike Sekowsky. Amazo is no ordinary android though. He possesses technology that allows him to replicate the abilities and powers of the superheroes that he battles. This gives him a significant advantage in combat, making him an opponent to be reckoned with. Additionally, Amazo can even duplicate his opponent's weapons, making him an even more challenging adversary. The Flash, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern make up the roster that Amazo initially faced, and as such, these are usually the power sets he possesses by default. Number 7. Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage, also known as Vandar Adge, is a formidable adversary who has been terrorizing the world for over, get this, 50,000 years. He possesses advanced healing abilities and immortality, which he gained after coming into contact with the mysterious meteorite during prehistoric times. Despite not being known for necessarily crazy superhuman powers, he is a brilliant strategist and skilled fighter with vast knowledge in various sciences and forms of combat. Over the course of history, he has faced off against other immortals and reincarnating heroes such as Hawkman, Hawkgirl, Immortal Man, and Resurrection Man. He's also proven to be a recurring thorn in the side of the Justice League. In his quest for power and attempts to defeat the JLA, he has even allied himself with organizations such as the Injustice Society and the Legion of Doom. Beware of Vandal Savage, for he's definitely a relentless and cunning villain who will stop at nothing to achieve his goals. And he's got the experience to back it up. Number 6. Brainiac. Brainiac may have been defeated by Superman when he was kicked out of his ship and succumbed to Earth's germs, and yes, that may be the first thing that I personally think of when I think of him, but that one defeat does not define him as a weak villain, especially considering how much he has evolved over the years and how long he's been around. In fact, would you be surprised to hear that Brainiac's strength lies not only in his intellect, but also in his physical abilities? In Jeff Johns' Action Comics 5-part story arc, Brainiac, it was revealed that the previous Brainiac Superman had encountered were more android replicas of the real deal, and that the real Brainiac was far more powerful, both mentally and physically, than all of them combined. This depiction of Brainiac as a formidable foe showcases his true potential and cements his place as a top-tier villain in regards to the Justice League's Rogues Gallery. Number 5. Lex Luthor. Did you know that Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster also created Lex Luthor, the notorious villain from DC Comics, just like they also created Superman? Of course, it would make sense they made Superman's #1 villain. He first appeared in Action Comics issue number 23 way back in 1940 and has been Superman's arch enemy ever since. In recent years, he's been portrayed as a power-hungry CEO of LexCorp who wants to rid the world of Superman. He claims it's because Supes is a threat to humanity, but sometimes it seems he's simply jealous of how much people love the Man of Steel. As you can imagine, with his high profile as a supervillain, he's often come into conflict with other superheroes, including Batman, and of course the entire Justice League team. It's interesting to note that despite having no natural superpowers, Lex is a genius with a knack for business and politics, and has a deep understanding of science and technology. This combined with the tech that he's developed makes him a massive threat to the heroes of the DC universe. Number 4. Anti-Monitor. The Justice League has many powerful villains, but the Anti-Monitor is one of the most terrifying. His control of the antimatter universe and the ability to threaten the multiverse make him an unstoppable force. During Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Anti-Monitor caused massive destruction, and his determination to end everything was truly terrifying. Even after this defeat, the threat remained as Necron actually held his body, taking it and repurposing it to be used as a power source for the Black Central Power Battery. It's clear that the Anti-Monitor as a villainous multiversal threat should not ever be taken lightly. The lasting impact of the Anti-Monitor and his influence on the DC universe will not soon be forgotten, as his influence and interference helped to basically reshape the entirety of the continuity and reality. Number 3. Hecate. While they may have not known it at the time, Hecate was also a very powerful Justice League foe. Here, interactions with the Justice League and her manipulation of them were not even actually recognized by the JLA themselves, but instead were taken note of by Justice League Dark, a somewhat loosely sanctioned magical division of the League that operates out of the Hall of Justice's basement and is led by Wonder Woman. While Hecate in the end would be defeated in the pages of Justice League Dark, this was only possible because Wonder Woman was able to use other, more powerful even villains, if you can imagine that, of the Justice League Dark team to defeat Hecate. Basically like pitting those against one another. Number 2. Starro the Conqueror. Starro can literally conquer entire worlds and has in fact done so before. And on more than one occasion, they have also almost conquered Earth as well. Starro is a giant space starfish who in their first appearance took on the first formation of the Justice League in The Brave and the Bold, issue number 28, where they threatened to, you guessed it, conquer the world! While in the Suicide Squad film, Starro the Conqueror was a cruel nickname given to Starro by the Thinker, who was charged with experimenting on the imprisoned alien. In the comics, it was a name earned by Starro because they had literally conquered so many worlds. Number 1. Darkseid. Jack Kirby, the famed writer, artist, and comic book creator, created Darkseid, who made his first appearance in Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, issue 134 in 1970. Darkseid is a tyrannical ruler of the planet Apocalypse and is depicted as a new god in his comic book appearances. His ultimate goal is to basically gain control over the anti-life equation and to eliminate all hope and free will in sentient beings, enslaving the multiverse in essence. He is considered one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe and is known as one of Superman's most formidable enemies and the Justice League's arch nemesis. Darkseid was originally known as Prince Euaxus, the son of King Yuga Khan and Queen Hegra of Apocalypse. He seized control of the planet from his older brother Drax by eliminating him when Drax attempted to claim the fabled Omega Force, with Euaxus betraying his brother and of course taking the Omega Force for himself. With this newfound power, Euaxus' skin turned to stone and he took on a new name, Darkseid. That's about it. Until next time, you stay nerdy. Number 10. Earth-Z Thanos. Earth-Z Thanos is a version of the villainous character that was infected by the zombie virus that turned everyone else on Earth 2149 into zombies, Thanos included of course. Thanos initially is a formidable foe, despite not yet acquiring the Infinity Gauntlet in this reality and piecing it together. Still, Thanos was already in this universe attempting to invade Earth before becoming a zombie. He ends up meeting with the zombie Galacti, who possess the powers of Galactus, shared among them, having the power cosmic. When this version of Thanos accuses the Hulk of eating more than his counterparts, Hulk squashes Thanos' head, ending his undead life. In removing Thanos from the equation, Hulk then claims he now can reasonably eat for the two of them without issue, since Thanos' share will of course be going untouched. And friends, before we move on to our next spot here, if you love what we do here at the channel, why not show us you love us by hitting that subscribe button? It really does help us out 100%. Number 9. Gotham. Remember Gotham and Gotham Girl? I do. They were the siblings that were saved by Batman when they were young and were as such inspired to also become heroes. They ended up getting superpowers and everything, but then Henry Jr., known as the hero Gotham, ended up losing control and being driven into an unstoppable rage. In the end, he had to be taken out by his sister Claire, but also strangely, this wasn't the end for Gotham. No. Instead, multiple people would attempt to revive him over the years, eventually turning him into a zombie who at one point thought he was Bane. That was the thing that happened. We thought he was Bane too, until we learned otherwise. Gotham as a hero and as a villain had insane powers, but they came at a high cost, that being his life force energy. Every time he used his powers, it basically brought him closer to death. Until of course, he was undead. During that time, his powers were basically limitless because, you know, he didn't have to worry about getting closer to death. He was already dead. However, once Henry had his mind fully restored and was given the option of fully being returned to life, fully resurrected, he decided to opt for death instead. He would eventually die permanently, at least, you know, for now, until somebody revives him. Refusing a resurrection level dose, the amount of the Lazarus resin he had taken was only able to keep him animated for a few days before he finally passed on. We'll see how final that finally ends up being, of course. Number 8. Marvel Zombies Scarlet Witch. Marvel Zombies Scarlet Witch is probably one of the most terrifying undead villains that I personally can think of. She appeared in the Marvel Zombies What If episode, where it was revealed that Vision was luring survivors into his domain to feed her to keep his love alive, after being unable to cure her. This version of Wanda also still fully possessed her powers. While Wanda isn't always a villain or antagonist in the comics or MCU, she definitely was in this episode. She was powerful enough to take on the Hulk, and later still powerful enough for a corrupted Doctor Strange to think she might stand a chance against Ultron, or at least serve as a distraction for as long as she was alive. Sadly, of course, Ultron was powerful enough to defeat Wanda. He solved this problem by completely destroying the world that they were fighting on, although I have heard she's going to make a return in the Marvel Zombies show, so not dead yet. Potentially. Number 7. Solomon Grundy. Epitomizing what this list is really all about in regards to the term undead is Solomon Grundy. This is a villain who is destined to die and return again and again and again. Solomon Grundy's real name is Cyrus Gold, and he is often characterized as being a mindless zombie, though I gotta say, I enjoy when he's being depicted as, you know, smarter than you might think, like his portrayal in the earlier issues of the current Harley Quinn series that started back in 2021. Solomon Grundy is often a villain who hangs around Gotham and as such falls in the category of being a Batman villain most often. While Solomon Grundy might not be the most powerful Batman villain out there, he's pretty much undefeatable, at least when it comes to his overarching defeat, as you know, he can't die. So he's much more resilient than many other adversaries Batman and his family have come up against. Number 6. Franklin Richards. Though really, he wasn't Franklin anymore in this reality. While Franklin Richards is known as a hero in the comics and the son of the Fantastic Four couple, Susan Storm and Reed Richards, in the reality of Earth 616, in the Cancerverse, he became known instead as the host of the Many-Angled Ones, although originally he was also all those other things. These were the beings that were able to coerce the hero Mar-Vell into a way to cure his cancer by killing death, allowing life to reign wild and free. However, that turned out to not be as good as it sounded, and the Many-Angled Ones were able to come across into the universe, invading and taking Franklin Richards as a host for multiple of their eldritch entities. Hence why here, we could see him as a villain. Although, you know, it's not really him anymore, he's kind of just a bunch of eldritch entities together. Number 5. Black Hand. Black Hand is known for being the avatar of Necron, basically becoming an agent of death as a Black Lantern and Necron's right-hand man. Literally too, since I believe it is Black Hand's right hand that is black, which in a version of the story is gifted to him by Necron and basically gives him like death touch powers. Black Hand was dying to join the Black Lanterns, but literally he was. He died to join them. In fact, in order to become a Black Lantern, you had to have died at some point, and it was in this way, after taking his own life, the Black Hand was able to join up. As he is already dead but reanimated, that makes him an undead villain, and considering he was part of the charge with the other Black Lanterns being the main person to lead that charge, you know, aside from Necron, I think we can consider him to be in general fairly unstoppable. I mean, he did get stopped, but it took a lot to stop him, so you know. Number 4. Gore the God Butcher. Gore is an interesting one. While in Love and Thunder he was defeated and lay dying by the end of this film, and in the comic he is defeated and been killed kinda as well. When we look forward into what's considered to be, well, I think now an alternate future, it's revealed that he actually can't really be killed. At least not in the way you think. This is because of the bond that Gore made with the symbiote known as the All-Black, both a necrosword and the very first symbiote to ever have existed, created by the god of symbiotes himself, the former King in Black, Null. Years into the future, it is revealed that Gore managed to survive thanks to the All-Black, and he does end up returning. In the end, King Thor is required to basically strip Gore of the symbiote in order to defeat him. This is also no easy feat, as the level at which Gore and the All-Black are entwined is pretty deep at that point. Similar to how connected Cletus Cassidy and Carnage are, like we're talking on like molecular levels. Number 3. Deceased Darkseid. Darkseid is one of the most fearsome villains over at DC Comics, so oh boy, wait till you see what he's like when he becomes undead. Just like in the main continuity, Darkseid in the Deceased universe also remains obsessed with the anti-life equation. He is also still a new god and the ruler of Apocalypse. At one point he attacks Earth, seemingly attempting to conquer it, but in reality he had an ulterior motive. His goal was actually to take Cyborg and implant him with a version of the equation that would use his body to spread the virus digitally to the rest of the world. Even though this part of his plan succeeded, his attempt to spread the virus backfired somewhat, with Darkseid himself becoming infected. Ugh. Driven mad once he became a member of the Anti-Living, Darkseid dove deep into the Inferno at the center of Apocalypse, causing it to explode. This was believed to have killed him, but it was later revealed that he'd been alive the whole time, trapped inside the frozen planet. Once the frozen ball that was once Apocalypse was smashed, or cracked really, that allowed Darkseid to break free, and allowed him to continue his reign of terror. Number 2. Marvel Zombies Thanos. Marvel Zombies Thanos comes from the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. He is hinted as being a major antagonist for our survivors in the animated spin-off series Marvel Zombies. He is hinted at being a major antagonist for our survivors in the animated Marvel Zombies universe, which we briefly only saw a glimpse into during What If. Marvel Zombies is said to be a spin-off show which will continue this story. In this reality, Thanos has already acquired almost all of the Infinity Stones, almost fully forming the Infinity Gauntlet. He currently happens to be in the Golden City in Wakanda, which is kind of where our surviving heroes are reportedly heading, at least as far as we know right now. I imagine this version of Thanos will be even more fearsome than his comic book zombie counterpart. Number 1. Necron. Necron is probably one of the most famous undead villains in the DC universe. This is because of his tie to the Blackest Night event, an event that not only threatened all life on Earth, but all life in the cosmos as well. It was revealed by the end of the event that Necron's goal was to rule over the universe by destroying the White Lantern entity. Doing so, it turns out, would allow Necron to destroy all life in the universe. Now, fortunately, Necron's plan is foiled and his ties to the physical world end up being severed, but the challenging thing about Necron is that you can never really kill him permanently since he isn't alive to begin with. Necron himself, when seemingly killed or defeated, will simply return to the land of the unliving. There he can bide his time and plan until he is ready to return again, which is likely what he's doing right now.